Hello YouTube and welcome to the first episode of Let's Play Star Trek: The Rebel Universe. And this is my second Let's Play, and I'm doing it for this game because this was a game that I remember playing when I was a kid, and there really isn't a lot of information about it online, so I thought I would jump in and play the game and play it through. So when I was a kid, though, when I played it, I found the game very difficult because of its vastness. It is actually a very big game. There's at least, I would probably say, 100 solar systems to explore in the game and over 4,000 worlds. And of course, not every single world is going to allow you to actually travel there and do things, but there are planets that have items or are also essential to the plot. So what I'm doing right now, I'm on abandonware.com. This is one of the places where you may be able to find a copy that you can download. Now, of course, you also can use an actual copy of the game. However, most modern computers these days don't actually use floppy disk drives anymore. That's what the game would have come with when they originally came out with it. It was a box set that came out with a couple of the 5¼ inch floppy disks and one 3½-inch floppy disk. But this is actually a lot, well, at least for the modern computer, this is one way to actually do it. So, as you can see, the graphics are actually pretty passable. It's based upon the Star Trek series of the original Star Trek series, rather, of the 1960s, and all of the pictures actually give a pretty good likeness. So right here, it's the bridge of the original Enterprise. Here we've got Sulu and Chekhov and Spock, and so it comes with downloads. You can download the DOS version, or you can download the Commodore 64 version from this website. But I'm actually going to be playing the DOS version because the actual engine that it requires you to use is actually an engine called DOSBox, because the DOSBox was actually, well, the game, one of the formats of the game was originally DOS, so it's good to actually, well, I should say it makes it more compatible. I haven't found an app yet where I can actually play the Commodore 64 version. So on the website, you also have the manual, and that actually will bring me to a little bit of an explanation of the plot. I'm not going to read the entire instruction manual through, but I will go ahead and explain the plot a little bit, and the whole point of the game. So, well, in Federation space, there's an area called the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy, or of Federation space. And I'm assuming that there's also this area of the galaxy is part, or it borders on Klingon space and the Klingon Empire. So, as you well, anybody who's seen episodes of the original series knew that back then the Klingon Empire was the principal antagonist of the Star Trek universe at that time, or of the Federation, I should say. Sorry, it's my cat in the background. She wants attention, so she's gonna start meowing a little bit, so sorry about that. But basically, there's an area of space called the Sagittarius arm, and there's a whole bunch of Federation planets and Federation starships that are defecting to the Klingon Empire. And so the Federation is understandably very, very upset about this. So what's going on is that the plot, the Klingons are actually behind it, of course, and there's an actual plot where they're using this mineral that's an isotope of dilithium. Now, of course, if you remember that dilithium is actually what's used to power the Enterprise, and it's called dilithium delta 6, and dilithium delta 6 is found only on one planet. It's called Decion 2. And so they're also using what's called the psi emitter in conjunction with dilithium delta 6 to actually transmit or make the Federation starships open to suggestion into joining the Klingon Empire or defecting to the Klingon Empire. And so the Federation, being very concerned about this, is actually, well, what they have done is they've created what's called a Klein sphere around this area of the galaxy that this mutiny is happening. Now, of course, I'm assuming that Klein sphere, there's no such thing as a Klein sphere. Well, I'm assuming that this, I could be wrong. I haven't looked it up or anything, but I'm assuming that Klein sphere is named after a scientist by the last name of Klein that hasn't been born yet. And so what the Klein sphere does, though, is it basically quarantines this area of the galaxy where the mutiny is happening. It makes it so that the Klingons can't get in, nobody else can get out, and whatever Federation starships that were mutinying against the Federation are basically stuck there. And so there were starships that were sent to investigate the problem, and of course none of them ever came back. And so what the Enterprise's mission is to go into this quarantined zone. Now, of course, they have to be let into the Klein sphere, but then they're also shut in, and they can't get back into Federation space. So the Enterprise is essentially stuck in the Klein sphere, and their mission is to basically destroy this mutiny plot or conspiracy that is causing all these Federation starships to defect to the Klingon Empire. Now, of course, the captain, or rather the Enterprise, is given another 5-year mission, so the time that you have in the game to complete the mission is 5 years. And so basically, if you don't complete the mission within 5 years, then the Klein sphere becomes permanent, which means that the Enterprise is basically trapped there, along with all the rest of the rebel starships. Now, of course, the principal enemies that you're going to be fighting in this game are going to be Klingons. However, you also will have encounters with Romulans, and you'll also have to fight rebel starships that have actually, they're the ones that actually disappeared into this part of space. So there are actually at least, if I'm counting correctly, there's probably at least 6 ways in which to win the game. So, of course, each individual winning strategy is what the manual calls it, but there are at least 6 or 7 winning strategies to help to topple the Klingon conspiracy and win the game. And what I can do is, what I'm going to do in this Let's Play series is I'm going to basically choose one of them and then pursue that one, because honestly, it would take quite a long time. But each one of the strategies involves exploring a lot of worlds and documenting everything that's found, and then traveling to the worlds that you've encountered before, and then basically lining up the items with the items that are integral to the plot. You can also, because while you're on this mission, you can expect lots of attacks from Klingon starships. So there are tactical items that you can find on different planets and different solar systems that will help to defend or help to protect the Enterprise from Klingon attack. Because, well, honestly, if the Enterprise is destroyed by Klingons, well, then that's not good. Then you're basically dead. So if you can protect the Enterprise while exploring all these worlds and eventually find all the things you need to topple the Klingon conspiracy, that is basically the object of the game. So, now of course, I'm basically just sort of scrolling through the manual that originally came with the game. It describes a bunch of different items that you can find on the planet. And of course, I'll go over those individually as we encounter them. But the winning strategies are as follows. The basic the first thing is to capture the Klingon admiral. Now, the Klingon admiral is the one who's in charge, of course, of all the Klingon starships, and is basically was also put in charge of this actual mutiny conspiracy by the Klingon Empire. So what you have to do in order to capture the Klingon admiral is you have to find his headquarters, and you have to beam him aboard the Enterprise. So obviously, if the Klingon admiral has been captured by the Federation, then none of the people or none of the Klingons or Klingon ships that are involved in the conspiracy plot will see it through, because they are basically devoid of orders on how to carry it out. So they won't carry on the conspiracy plot if the Klingon admiral is captured. Now, another way that you can also win the game and stop the plot is, instead of finding and capturing the Klingon admiral, you can also discredit him to his superiors. So that way he loses grace with the Klingon Empire and therefore is court-martialed, or he basically loses honor in the eyes of his subordinates, so that the plot can't continue. Now, there is a chance, however, that this will not work. So the way that you do that, somewhere in the quarantine zone, there is a computer console that has a file that has some very unflattering information about the Klingon admiral. Some information about his prior service record, and some indiscretions of him basically being cowardly, surrendering, and things like that that are really unbecoming of a Klingon. So if the Klingon subordinates find that this is inexcusable and they won't follow the admiral anymore, then the whole plot will fall apart. That's the second thing. The third thing is finding the actual the Federation starship captains as well. So you have to capture, or not capture, you have to find 6 rebel Federation captains who have defected to the Klingon Empire, and you have to find 6 what are called psychogen canisters, or canisters of psychogen gas, and you have to use these psychogen canisters on these rebel Federation captains, or rebel starship captains, so that they will be immune to the influence of the Psi-emitter, and they will also turn back to the Federation. So that's another way of winning. The fourth way of winning is to destroy Dekion 2. As I mentioned, Dekion is the system that contains the only known source of the dilithium delta-6 isotope. Obviously, if you eliminate the source of dilithium delta-6, then the Klingons can't use their Psi-emitter to suggest or to pull these Federation captains over to the side of the Klingon Empire. Another one as well is, of course, the Psi-emitter also uses a lot of power, as you can imagine, and there is a power grid that is used to use the Psi-emitter. If you cut the power of the Psi-emitter, then that will also destroy the plot. So in order to cut the power, however, and decimate the power grid, you have to destroy what are called these I-beam generators. Now, the I-beam generators, you have to find what are called lepton guns to destroy the I-beam generators, and if you destroy enough of them, I believe you have to destroy 6, then that will result in the Psi-emitter being inoperative, which will basically ruin the plot. Also, you can interrupt Klingon communications. You can destroy, or basically there's the Klingon code files which will feed false information into the system and cause the Klingon admiral to abandon. So it's basically, I guess, what it amounts to fake orders from Klingon high command to abandon the conspiracy, and you have to beam that in so that the Klingon admiral believes it, and then he orders that the mission be abandoned. Or another thing you can also do as well is you can also destroy the Klingon Psi-emitter as well. And I believe, let's see, well, you can also construct your own Psi-emitter, or you can destroy the Klingon Psi-emitter. If you construct your own Klingon Psi-emitter, or if you construct your own Psi-emitter, then it will counteract the effects of the Klingon Psi-emitter, and therefore rendering the plot moot. Or lastly, there is a bomb that's located on a planet that once belonged to a long dead race called the Peace Bomb. And somewhere else on another planet inside the quarantine zone is a device, or it's an ampoule of what's called the peace virus that must be used in conjunction. So if you explode the peace bomb, then it basically will make anybody within the quarantine zone basically non-violent, and it will ruin the plot, obviously, because they won't mutiny, they won't even be able to fight. So that will be another way to destroy the plot. So what I'm going to do next time in our next video is go over a little bit more of the manuals that are included, which are very helpful in finding the planets that you need to go to. And then also you'll need, actually what I'll do also is show you how I would upload the game and play it. So anyway, I'll talk to you next time.